agree that UET 774, which is the tuning instruction, is OB, Old Babylonian.
UET 7704, which is your primary manuscript, is certainly Old Babylonian in date. We can tell this from the script, which is a well-established matter. There are many other Old Babylonian tablets from Ur, so this is certainly the first half of the second millennium BC. I think you can take that for granted.
Yes, that's great. And this other text, which is called UET 7126.
The lexical text.
The lexical text.
Yes, that's a different matter. That is part of a lexical series. And one of the wonderful things about ancient Mesopotamian scholars is they compiled these dictionaries, lists of words, lists of grammatical points, lists of god names and so forth, which are very useful for us. And there was one particular series called Nabnitu, which was in fact probably got underway about the last few centuries of the second millennium BC, maybe about 1200 BC, something like that. They started to make lists of Sumerian and Akkadian words under the name Nabnitu, and there are 32 tablets that make up this whole composition, and the last one is the one which is most important for music, because the scribes who compiled it took the old Sumerian words for the names of the strings on this instrument and translated them into their Babylonian equivalents, because the cuneiform writing, as you know, sometimes covers text in the Sumerian language, sometimes in the Babylonian language, and you can't tell when you look at the cuneiform signs which language it is until you read it. But with a dictionary like this, you have an example of a scholarly mind who wants to make order out of all sorts of disparate material, and in this particular case they take the old Sumerian string names in order and they give the Babylonian equivalents, the two languages, in a bilingual list.
Do we have evidence of an earlier text in Sumerian only with these terms?
There is a little fragment which has the same list on it, which, judging by the script, is older, probably from the end of the second millennium. You see, the big one from Ur, the most important lexical text, was probably written in about the 7th century BC. The manuscript itself is what we call Neo-Babylonian, so it comes out of a school maybe after the fall of Assyria, from the time of Nebuchadnezzar or later, where in some scholarly context, this text was being recopied again. So the manuscript from Ur, which has come to us, which we've been studying, itself was written in the first millennium. But because of this little fragment, we can be sure that the content, the actual ideas and the words on it, come from a slightly earlier period. And this is nothing surprising, because the whole emphasis of cuneiform scholarship was to preserve learning from a previous period, to preserve it exactly, to pass it on, to copy it, to transmit it, and the musical information which we have now from these scattered pieces is part of this program, where things were established, they were understood, they were written down, and then they were preserved and copied and copied and copied and copied. So we've been talking about these manuscripts as manuscripts, and of course they are wonderful from the cuneiformist's point of view as important resources. When it actually comes to appraising them in terms of their importance for the history of music, they are colossal, because what we have uniquely, and what has become clear perhaps for the first time quite recently, is we have archaeological evidence for the instruments themselves, we have images of them, we have graphic representations of them, and we also have, as it were, living texts written by musical minds about this material. So it means that a musicologist has the wonderful opportunity to combine an instrument, a reconstruction of an instrument, an understanding of its detail, with a text written from that culture which has survived to us, where the two can be combined to produce real understanding for the first time of what this music really was like.